It's a mad world. But it's our world, so let's enjoy it as we lampoon the news. This is your man,
Ishi Hakase.
We're here to bring you the funny, the weird, the strange, the unbelievable, the stupid, the refreshing, and maybe even the provocative. So, grab a drink, grab a snack, kick back. Let's get to it. So we begin with a cockroach, la cucaracha. These disgusting, repulsive creatures who plague us with their awkward, chaotic movements that startle most, terrify others. Wow, we're really put off by roaches, sometimes known by their scientific name of blatadillo, because these creatures, they live freely in filth. And then they track that bacteria and allergens into your home or your favorite restaurant through the shedding of their skin. Ugh. They can live almost a month without water and 2 weeks without food. There are 4,500 species of cockroaches in the world, so we're just going to have to learn to deal with them. So earlier this week, I was on a video call when all of a sudden, plop, a roach fell from the ceiling onto my table. I swatted it. It kept running. I hit it with the remote. It leaped to the floor. The terrier got a hold of him. And like a soldier, this roach kept on running. I finally brought him to his demise with my size 45 shoe. And when I returned to my video call, everybody was staring at me, eyes wide open, asking, are you okay? And I didn't realize that my frantic behavior would have drawn everybody's attention. I was somewhat embarrassed. But later I shared that story with my colleague, and she replied, if that had happened to me, I would have probably jumped out of the window. See, my colleague, she's terrified of roaches and spiders and many other insects. So I got curious. What's behind some of these unexplained fears? Why is my colleague so afraid of roaches when others really take little notice to them? Some fears are easily explained. For instance, you got bitten by a German Shepherd once when you were young, and now you're afraid of all dogs. Or maybe you're afraid of the ocean because you can't swim. Well, sounds logical. But why are we afraid of heights? Did you fall out of a 5-story building as a child? Fear is a natural emotion that protects us from harm when we face real, imminent danger. You should be afraid of oncoming traffic. You should be afraid of fire. You should be afraid of tigers. You should be afraid of certain political figures on the right. I mean xenophobes. When I was young, I really believed that elephants were afraid of mice. And I would always see it on these cartoon shows, and elephants jumping up on a chair. And why would an elephant be afraid of a mouse to that degree? I'm not sure, but this legend's been around for centuries, but I can't possibly believe that to be true. Now, some fears, those are purposefully instilled in us when we're young. I had this record album from Disney called Disneyland Chilling, Thrilling Sounds of the Haunted House. And when I first played it, I was not only scared, I was paralyzed. But I kept listening. Now I quite enjoy it. Setting up the trick-or-treaters that come to my house to give them a scary little environment. But back to the point, why did my parents buy this for me? And speaking of parents, why do they, along with your older siblings, threaten you with the boogeyman. I mean, what the hell? If you don't eat your vegetables, the boogeyman will get you. If you don't clean your room, the boogeyman will get you. If you don't brush your teeth, the boogeyman will get you. If you don't go to bed, the boogeyman will get you. How am I supposed to go to bed when the boogeyman is out there to get you? Is this the proper way to motivate children? How many children out there have been sleep deprived over this craziness? But perhaps my favorite example comes from my teacher and mentor and colleague and friend, Peter Meggert. Peter Meggert is a great educator. He's a great designer. He was born in Bern, Switzerland, and he once told me that his mother took him and his brother into the town square when they were very young, pointed at a statue in the middle of a fountain, and said, "That right there, that is the baby eater of Bern, and if you go into the forest, he'll catch you and he'll eat you." Now, we know why this was done. This is to keep children from wandering off into the Alpine mountains. And they go out there, you won't find them again. I get that. But are there other ways to teach your kids? I mean, Peter went on to tell me that he was terrified of the idea of going into the forest. And this all courtesy of the baby eater of Bern. I mean, look at this thing. It's got this ghastly, horrific face, eating a child head first. And he's got a satchel of a couple of other babies that are, pretty much in the queue. Like, I'll get to you later. I mean, I don't know which one is suffering the worst fate. The baby that's getting his head snapped off right now, or the ones that have to watch and have to wait their turn. Well, what about you? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of death, the dark, enclosed spaces, needles, flying, snakes, rats, bats, Kanye, public speaking? I mean, there's all sorts of things out there that we're concerned about. There's all kinds of things out there that make us afraid. And then there's FOMO, the fear of missing out. Basically a feeling of anxiety or insecurity over the possibility of missing out on something like a party or an event, or maybe an opportunity, which I can certainly understand. And when somebody first told me about FOMO, I thought they were making it up. And then I looked around the room, and one by one, everybody said, oh yeah, it's legit. It's really true. It's out there. So now we have yet another fear that we're dealing with. Now, on the other hand, a phobia, that's different. A phobia is an excessive fear or anxiety related to specific situations that are out of proportion to the actual danger that they present. We're aware of many common phobias like claustrophobia, agoraphobia, arachnophobia, acrophobia. We've heard of these things before, and we can certainly empathize because we probably know someone dealing with one of these concerns. But there are lots and lots of odd, little-known phobias. And I thought I would share some of them with you tonight, or this morning, or this afternoon, whenever you get a chance to listen. Arachibutyrophobia, which is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. Now, this phenomenon mildly has happened to, just about everyone. But there is a degree of this phobia that points people to a fear that they will avoid eating peanut butter or anything of that consistency. Then we have nomophobia. This is the fear of being without your mobile phone. and I have seen this firsthand. You pat your right pocket, you pat your left pocket, the back pocket, your breast pocket, you look in your bag, you look in your jacket, then you go through the whole routine over and over and over again. All right, and people really do experience excessive anxiety about not having their phones with them. And some actually become panicked. And I think we're losing our way here. Then we have arithmophobia. That's what it sounds like. All right, that is the fear of numbers. And I know many people, like myself, dread math class. But people with arithmophobia have a genuine fear of numbers. And people like this usually have a great sense of anxiety associated with doing math. So, I wish I had known this when I was taking high school calculus. I would have had a better excuse for my failures. Plutophobia. That is the fear of money. And many people probably wished that they had more money, but plutophobia pushes people to a concern or fear over wealth. I don't have this problem. Xanthophobia. That is the fear of the color yellow. People with xanthophobia are usually also afraid of any object that is yellow, such as a school bus or flowers. I wonder if they're afraid of the sun. Ablutophobia. That is the fear of bathing, washing, or cleaning oneself. Please get help immediately. Octophobia. This is the fear of not an octopus, but the fear of the number 8. And interestingly enough, it sometimes connects to arithmophobia, the fear of numbers. And people have trouble even with the number being written down when they see it in street addresses or advertisements. They also have difficulty managing clusters of 8. I wonder if this includes the infinity sign. Globophobia. This is the fear of balloons. And can you imagine this becoming magnified by coulrophobia, which is the fear of clowns? And yes, I think many of us have dealt with this, because I have to tell you, Pennywise, and those of you out there who know who Pennywise is, that was a scary clown. And then there is hippopotomonstrosusquipedaliophobia, and that is the fear of long words. And ironically, it's the longest word in the dictionary. So, it comes from people being embarrassed to pronounce long words, with the possibility that they may do it incorrectly, and people believe it sort of manifests when people are very young. Ephobophobia. That is the fear of adolescence or youth. Not your adolescence, but an adolescent. All right, teenagers who are feared to be, out of control, rude, and unpredictable. I think a lot of us have that, and certainly very well justified. Omphalophobia. That is the fear of belly buttons. They avoid seeing or touching belly buttons, even their own. And I have a great deal of sympathy for these people, because belly buttons are awesome. Pogonophobia. People with pogonophobia are afraid of beards. How could you be afraid of your man?
Ishi Hakase.
Ergophobia. That is the fear of work. And now that I realize that this is a real phobia, it explains a lot concerning some of the people that I have actually worked with in the past. I will stop there. The last one is phobophobia, which of course is the fear of phobias. And this must be difficult because it puts the person in an ever-ending spiral of anxiety from fearing fear. There's a growing body of information out there on emerging phobias. Scientists fully haven't cataloged all of these phobias, right? But again, we have some information, new information that's emerging. So one new phobia that scientists are certainly trying to explain is Big Rumpus Donald Trumposophobia. And that is the fear of having to listen to any more of his coming out of his Then there is Hartis cinematitisophobia. And that is the fear of Kevin Hart making another bad movie. Come on, man, you've made your money, give it up. We have Giannis Antetokounmpo phobia. I mean, have you all seen this guy? From what he looked like when he came into the NBA to what he looks like now? I mean, this guy is a beast. And that phobia is the fear of getting posterized on the basketball court or blown up on the football field or generally embarrassed in competitive sports. I've seen this firsthand. I was playing some ball with some of my friends in Philadelphia, and one of my friends went down for a layup, and this guy came out of nowhere and he blocked his shot over the retaining fence into the high grass. And then he looked at him and said, "Now go get it." And not only did my friend never return to that basketball court from embarrassment, I never went back to that basketball court embarrassed for him. Gerontocracyophobia. That is the fear of our political leadership getting any older. I mean, have you seen some of these people in government? High definition TV is now telling the real story. We need younger people in public service and a part of the political discourse. I have growing concerns that these folks are out of touch. Now, some of you might remember when George Bush Sr., 41st President of the United States, was out, shaking hands and kissing babies, and went into a supermarket, and they were scanning the grocery store items, and he said, wow, he looked at it with wonderment, and like he had never seen a grocery store scanner before. He was still expecting people to use these hard key cash registers. And so there was a lot of issues about him obviously being out of touch. Now, in fairness to the late president, that story is being challenged, even perhaps debunked. Some people are saying, well, he just looked at it, but he didn't really say anything about it, so we can't confirm if he knew what it was or not. But what we do know is Rudy Giuliani, when asked how much a gallon of milk costs, he replied, $1.50. And then there was Trump's assertion that you needed ID to buy groceries. Then we have QAnonsensophobia. This is the fear that we have to still entertain this lunacy, and even more so that maybe one of my neighbors actually believes that a group of Satan-worshiping elites who run a child sex ring are trying to control our politics and media. Believing in a conspiracy is a contradiction of terms as far as I'm concerned. See, a conspiracy is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. This means that that group of people have to keep a secret. And we know that people are terrible at it. Sooner or later, somebody is going to slip up or somebody is going to snitch. And I also think you're giving these groups, in air quotes, way too much credit, because nobody is that smart to be able to pull something like that off. How about Chewbacca-bacophobia? This is the fear of getting in the middle seat on a transatlantic flight, seated between two men with back hair growing out of their shirt collar. I have experienced this firsthand on more occasions than I want to recall. Whopper chocophobia. That is the fear that Burger King will actually globally launch a Whopper burger with a patty slathered in Hershey's chocolate sauce, as they once did in Taiwan. Yes, they launched a chocolate Whopper. Is that racist? Last fall, on the first day of this product launch, crowds snaked for more than 100 meters out the door of the Burger King. Orders for the chocolate burger continued until 8 p.m. when the store ultimately ran out of ingredients. All told, the store sold 506 chocolate burgers that day, far surpassing the average burger sales of 55 in a day, typical for Taiwan. I mean, people, some foods, they just don't go together. You know, like sugar frosted flakes and orange juice, or pepperoni and banana pizza, or maybe crab meat inside a Jell-O mold. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there that does like that, but keep that one in the archive, Burger King. Thank you. And maybe one more phobia. This is KTV clusterophobia, also known as your ass just got busted phobia. See, this is worth explaining. This is the fear that through contact tracing, your wife finds out that you were out partying with a Vietnamese hostess. Now, I need to get some of you caught up. These KTVs, not all of them, but some of them, are shady karaoke spots where karaoke is not the main source of entertainment. And a fairly large COVID cluster was recently identified in Southeast Asia. And through contact tracing, they're pulling all of those men together and putting them into quarantine or stay-at-home notice, which means all their close contacts, i.e. their wives, will also be in quarantine. Oops! You just got busted. You were not working late that night. So look, we're having a little bit of fun. We know that. But let's take a moment to be a bit serious, and that is, you matter. If you are struggling with mental health, whether it be from phobias or depression or anxiety, talk to someone, talk to a friend, talk to a relative, talk to a clinician, but get help. We need you here. We don't want you to miss out on all the positives we have in this world. And we don't want you to miss out on the next broadcast from your man.
Ishi Hakase.
So that's my time. I'll check back with you in a few days. Subscribe. Why? Because the platform won't let you do anything without a certain amount of subscribers. Tip if you want. If you have news, weird, funny, shocking, goofy, or generally unbelievable, send it along. Put a link in the chat or DM me on Instagram. Ishi.Hakase on Instagram. Ishi.Hakase on Instagram. So, I hope you enjoyed this news, or not news. The world is a very interesting and curious place. Keep your heads up. Spread the word. Stay safe. Much love. I'm OWT.